and he wants to study computer science. We will see what it's going to be. Okay, about wine and food in the family.
We're going to get right into the wine and food.
Yes. Okay, I grew up in very big family where we've been almost like 10 or 11 persons together, like grandparents, my aunt's family, my cousin. As I have two siblings, two brothers. I had two brothers. One has passed away. And there was always like all day there was food cooking and drinking. Especially it was happening in the village where my grandpa, he had a vineyard, and vineyard is very important thing for Georgians. Like almost every family in Georgia makes their own wine. As a children, we've been also allowed to taste wine from very small age, like with 5, 6, 7. They would give us like wine with water. I have here white Georgian wine, and also my children, they could taste wine when we've been drinking wine. Like, and they asked, "Can I have some wine?" Like, we would give them wine. It's very normal in Georgia. About cooking. So my mom, she is Ukrainian Russian. She is not Georgian, and it is kind of, she is a goddess of cooking. Like I think,
yeah, I've met your mom and I've cooked with your mom, which was a real honor. I loved it. Yeah.
I think her mission is to feed everyone.
Yeah.
Who comes in her life, like to be sure that everyone had enough food. And so was this always in our family. And of course, I was the only one girl in the family. Like there was my grandma, of course, but she needed more rest. And me and my mom, we've been cooking because I had two brothers, then my father, my grandfather. And then when boys grow, like their friends would arrive. And we've been cooking from morning until evening. Like it was very normal life. I don't know, I cannot imagine myself without cooking. It was like breathing for us. And we've been cooking all kinds of foods, Ukrainian and Georgian. So
oh, sorry, can you talk to us a little bit about the difference between Ukrainian and Georgian foods?
Oh, there is big difference because we are using lots of spices, lots of Asian spices, I would say, and Ukrainian kitchen does not use so many spices. It is more bland. They use more vegetables, more pork fat, and it is like for Georgian taste, Ukrainian cuisine is a bit bland.
Yeah,
Georgians.
I think well, it's very interesting to think about where Georgia is geographically and which of those countries around Georgia have influenced its cooking. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Geographically, we are located in Asia. Like it is like the board, yeah, the edge of Europe and Asia, and we are very much influenced from Asian cuisine and from Arabic, Persian, Turkish influences. But our cuisine is very rich on spices. You know that we love spicy food, like chilies as well, and different spices. I don't know really which country influenced the most Georgian cuisine, because like stuffed aubergines with walnuts, as we know, it is Georgian phenomenon. Like you don't get it in another country. But also like there is some influence from Greece, maybe, Arabic countries too.
Turkey as well?
Turkey as well, yes. Yes, like if we look at dishes with vegetables. Also, we have khinkali, this meat-filled dumplings, which is also Mongolian origin. Well, they say today that it is like authentic Georgian dish and so, but all nomad tribes had such food, like dough with meat, and it is Mongolian. It is more in northern part of Georgia, where exactly the road from Asia were running to Georgia.
Yeah, so
Georgia, yeah, ask me.
sorry. I was just going to say Georgia is a very small country, but it also has quite distinct regions where they might eat different things as well, right?
Yes, this is. It is the country is very small because of mountains. But if we take the country and we widen it, like it is a very big. We
Yeah,
have
that's
very
true.
high
Flattened it.
mountains. Yes, and we have 8 different regions. What is very important for me to say in this space to our guests is that we've been part of Soviet Union before, but since 27 years we are not part of Soviet Union anymore. We are independent country. We've never been Russians, and we are not Russians identically. We are like Ibero-Caucasian tribe. We are having our own language, our own alphabet, which is quite unusual. It is one of 14 original alphabets in the world. We write in Georgian. We use Georgian letters. We read in Georgian. We speak Georgian. This is very important to say. So therefore, we are Georgia. In Georgian, our country is called Sakartvelo. It is even not Georgia. Georgia is Greece name, like European name for Georgia, for my country. We call ourselves Sakartvelo and Kartveli. We are Kartvelis. Well, for Western people, we are Georgians, but for us, we are Kartvelis. It is also a bit difficult. So we have 8 regions, and mainly it is 2 parts. It is Western Georgia and Eastern Georgia. Eastern Georgia is more lowland, where there are the vineyards, the famous vineyards of Georgia in Alazani Valley. Maybe someone from our guests already have been to Georgia and visited Kakheti and knows about Alazani Valley. And western part of Georgia is more mountainous, and there are mountains and lowlands. It's different. And wines from these 2 regions are also very different. Food is also different. In eastern part, Georgians eat more meat, like more simple prepared meat, like cooked with some herbs and spices, all just fried, barbecue, or similar. And in western part, they use lots of herbs, lots of spices, lots of vegetables. The Western Georgians really give themselves time to prepare food.
Yeah, there was
So
something when I came to Georgia, I was very struck by the use of vegetables, the use of fresh produce and herbs, large quantities
yes,
of herbs, and just how colorful it was. And
yes.
in some
No,
ways,
it is.
yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Nice, where I live in that way, that's so much fresh, colorful produce. Yeah, and in fact, you have your own version of what we call hatatui, but you call it something else.
We call it ajab sandali, and I think this is also some Asian version of aubergines, which is like rooted now here. It is very easy food, you know.
Mm.
It's eggplant with lots of um, vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, khinkali is also eastern phenomena in East Georgia, in northern part of East. People eat khinkali, and khinkali is really very, very, I would say, difficult to make, because I remember myself and my mom, we've been standing in the kitchen, like there have been guests, family and guests, and we have to make these khinkalis, these dumplings, and like we serve and it is gone, and we make it again, we serve and
Yeah,
it
it's
is
the
gone.
folding,
Yeah,
the dough that's difficult.
yes, like folding and preparing and cooking. And that's why I say that I don't love cooking, because I remember that I have to stand all the time in the kitchen and food is always gone then.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Okay.
yeah, when you make those dumplings, they have meat, but they also have to have a bit of juice in them. So you have to get
Yes.
it just right, and then
Yes.
fold the dough a certain way. And I know when I've been to
Yes.
Georgia, and I've taken classes where I learned to fold that dough, but it's not easy. I got my hands almost slapped for,
Okay.
for not
So,
folding it right.
look, Rosa, we already mentioned stuffed aubergines with
Yeah,
walnuts, and we
yeah.
mentioned khinkali, but we didn't mention khachapuri.
Yes, that's very important.
Yes, which is significant actually for any region. Like you go in Eastern Georgia, Western Georgia, in Ajara, San Megrelo, wherever you go, they serve you khachapuri. And what is khachapuri? Khachapuri is bread, is a dough filled with cheese, but a lot of cheese, really very rich on cheese. And it really does not let you go empty. When you
Yeah,
eat one
it's
piece,
incredibly addictive.
yes, incredibly addictive. I have here my small presentation. I would like to show our guest my like khachapuri, how it looks, a normal,
Yeah.
regular, classical Emiratian khachapuri. Um, I think this is
Yeah,
that.
Natalia very kindly put together a little presentation for today.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can see it. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
can
if
see it.
everyone can see it. This is khachapuri, cheese bread. It is very simple dough, sometimes with yeast, sometimes without yeast. It depends on the recipe. And how we make in the family with my mom, when dough is ready and we have cheese, we take the same portion of dough in one hand and the same portion of cheese in other hand, and then we make this round such piece. We put cheese, we fold it together, and then we put in oven. And
Yeah,
it's
you basically roll it out with the cheese in it. So you make a ball with a
yes,
lot of cheese. It's a really impressive amount of cheese that goes into it. And it's quite hard to reproduce without the cheese that you find in Georgia. I think I've tried it with different
really.
cheeses here.
Well, I was when
But
I've been living abroad. I've been using feta, like this
yeah,
Greek cheese, and mozzarella. The mix
exactly.
of these
Yeah,
two.
I think that's the closest. Yeah,
Yes, the mix of
yeah.
these two cheeses.
Because you need something that's stringy and something that's salty. Because
Yes.
yeah, the cheese that you find in Georgia is a bit like feta, but a lot more melty and stringy.
Mhm. But it is so filling, you cannot really eat a lot when you have
Well,
khachapuri, when you start with
as you
khachapuri.
can.
Also, what is remarkable on Georgian food is that Georgians always serve a lot of food, Rosa.
Yes, always the table has to be full, and there's no way you can finish half of what they give you.
Yes, I like very often I'm getting questions from my guests. Why is so much food on the table? Why we are just small group and so? But it is somehow connected with a mentality because it does not matter who visits Georgians. Like it is the guest, and
Mhm.
guest is sent from God, from the universe, and they bring everything, and they bring the best what they have on the table to
Yeah,
serve the guest. And they are for hosts, for if we are hosting someone, for us it's very important that people are happy, that they live really happy, that they are not stressed or ashamed
yeah,
about not having enough food or so. That's why like the supra is named for Georgian late table, are always very lavish, and there is really a lot of food.
yeah,
When you visit Georgia, you will experience that, and so you will be prepared for this
yeah. So
occasion.
supra is really, it's a kind of feast, right? And often
Yes.
when you talk about a supra, it's not just the food, but everything that happens during the meal, like people giving toasts and making speeches and maybe some dancing, some singing. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Supra is late table where all the food is standing, and there are many guests which are gathered for celebrate some occasion, either it is birthday or wedding or some other celebration. And there is always like, let's talk a little bit about supra because it is kind of, it become an important part of our eating
Yeah.
and drinking culture. Like supra is unique phenomenon because it has a supra master, so to say, toastmaster, Rosa, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Toastmaster, and supra is kind of a social union, like small social community, which is together in this time, exactly in that moment, this day, with these people who are around. And Toastmaster leads this supra. He is kind of moderator, so to say.
Mhm.
He moderates drinking and
So,
eating.
yeah, and yeah, usually a lot of drinking, right? Because you have to have a lot of toasts.
Yes, well, it depends. It depends.
Yeah.
Normally, Georgians drink a lot, yes, but mostly on Supra, we drink white wine.
Hmm.
It is also called like Supris vino, Supra wine, and it is qvevri wine or European style wine sometimes, but it is white wine. And
So yeah, when you held up your glass earlier, maybe some
yes,
people noticed that the color of the wine in the glass is not the color that we normally see in Europe or North America. So can you explain that wine that you're holding?
yes. Okay, I have wine. It is white wine, but it is called mzwane, verde, green wine. Um, we have very special winemaking technique or technology in Georgia. It means that wine is made in the clay amphoras, call it qvevris, which are sitting under the in the ground, in the soil. They are having amphora shape. They are made out of clay, so clay pot, so to say, but they are having Georgian name qvevri. In Eastern Georgia, we call it qvevri, and wine is made in these clay pots, not in containers or steel containers somewhere, but qvevri wine is always made in qvevri. What is the difference between qvevri wines and classical wines? The difference is that qvevri wines are made fermentation process happens with skins and seeds. So grapes are crushed with skins and seeds, and everything like juice and this mist, skins and seeds, goes into the qvevri together. And this wine was made in qvevri in eastern Georgia, in region Kakheti, in village Kondoli, from grape cultivar khachapuri, which is white grapes, and technology is Georgian qvevri wine. Fermentation, it is harvest from last year. Here I can show you the winemaker, Georgi Gvarzelashvili, and this is the bottle which I am having here now. This Tzvane Verde. It does not have a label because it is freshly bottled. This wine is still sitting in qvevris in Marani. Marani is house of wines. Georgi, when he needs this wine, he bottles occasionally for guests because it is harvest from last year. In September is the highest time for harvesting grapes in Kakheti region. And this wine was with skin and seeds in qvevri for 3 months. And then Georgi removed this mist, seeds and skins, which is called jaja by itself. And the juice still is staying in qvevri. And it has very distinct, uh, dark, strong yellow color. On international wine market, Georgian qvevri wines are called amber wines,
Amber.
right? Right?
Yes,
Those
amber wine. They're
amber wines or
yeah.
orange wines for
Or
some
orange.
reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Mhm.
Amber is, yes, like karva, we know. We also say, we Georgians also say that wine is the liquid sun.
Mm.
We have in queries the liquid sun, and so is this wine, like Georgi's wine. It is amber wine with distinct amber color, with very special smell and taste. What is the difference between classical and qvevri wines is that qvevri wines are very rich on tannins. Tannins, Rosa?
Yes,
We say
tannin.
tannins?
Yeah.
Tannins, yes. This wine has 13% of alcohol. Right now, I asked Georgi how much alcohol he thinks it has, and he said about 13% of alcohol. It is made with affection, love, and patience, and the wine listens to Georgian folk songs because Georgi sings in his wine house.
Ah, that's so nice. Oh, it's
Yes.
making me very thirsty watching you with that wine because it brings back memories of Georgia. And this is not a wine that we can find here in Nice. So I would love to taste that now.
Okay, so and I raised my glass with that wine for you, for
Yeah.
us, for our space, for our meeting, and maybe for next interesting
Yeah.
experiences together.
Oh, yes. And this is a type of wine. It's interesting because winemaking in Georgia goes back around 8,000 years, they've now found. So it may be the oldest winemaking country in the world.
Yes.
And many people are still making wine this way. So it's,
Yes.
of course, modern wines are made as well. And more modern wines are coming out of Georgia.
Yes.
What proportion, do you know what proportion is of wine in Georgia is made the old way, the qvevri way?
I don't really know proportions in figures,
Yeah,
Rosa. I would
yeah,
not lie because I am
yeah.
not following this. Maybe there is some data and we
I'm
can
sure
look
somewhere.
up this, yes,
Mhm.
afterwards. But there is very big dedication to this winemaking method, so to say.
Yeah.
uh, because like there are every year there are new small winemakers which are making wines on this ancient method, so to say, and they want to keep this. Like they say, it is the part of the dignity of Georgians to
Mm,
make wine in qvevris,
yeah.
you know. Although I know some winemakers, I know one winemaker, for example, in Georgia, he says he does not want to waste his wines for qvevris because his grapes are too good for because making wine in qvevri is very difficult regarding on hygiene of marani and qvevris. You need to have in qvevris like 100% sterile hygiene, and it's not easy. And also, qvevri wines cannot compete really with classical wines, with European style wines, because they have very different taste, and it is really very much depending on the taste of the person who consumes the wine,
Mm.
if it would sell or not. You see, but never mind that.
Mhm.
Georgians never stop to
Yeah.
produce query wines.
It's yeah, it would fall under what we call here natural wine,
Yeah,
the,
natural
the
wine.
type of wine that's a little unpredictable. You don't really know, yeah, from one year to another what it's going to taste like, but sometimes it can
Yes.
be just amazing.
Yes. Oh, well, there it was this small video which I sent to you today about
Yeah,
Georgi's wine,
yeah,
that this query was cracked and all wine just
yeah.
was gone in soil. So, but how I would say, this is the identity. You know, if a Georgian man can bring wine on the table and can say, "This is my query wine. It is
Mm,
like made by me. I harvested it. I crushed it. I went through filtration process, and it is my baby. Like it is my child, and it is very much also the cultural moment and identity moment that
right.
having query
Yeah.
query wines. Okay.
So
So, and we have here this eggplant. So far about Georgian wines. Maybe our guests have some questions, or how we do that.
does anyone have any questions about wine while we're on the subject? You can jump in if you want to unmute or put it in the chat if you're shy.
Well, then I will go to eggplant stuffed with walnuts. And why that? Because uh, almost on every supra there is this is kind of snack, kind of starter or appetizer, Rosa, we would say, right? Appetizer. It is very simple recipe. We take eggplants, we cut them, we slice them, we fry them in oil, and then when they are cold, we have separately ready the pasta, walnut pasta. It is similar to Italian pesto, but with walnuts. We
Yeah,
use
pounded.
ground walnuts, yes, ground walnuts, a little bit of garlic, depending on taste. We Georgians, we love garlic, actually. We use a lot of garlic. Um, fresh garlic, crushed garlic, and three important spices, which are blue fenugreek. Those are our famous blue fenugreek.
We will talk about that.
Blue fenugreek, marigold or saffron, I don't know, Georgian variety of marigold, and dry coriander. This combination is called also khmeli suneli. Everything is very well mixed together. I add a little bit of warm, lukewarm water because walnuts grow then in lukewarm water. They become so foamy, they grow. And some housewives, they add also fresh onions, but I don't do. And this is red pomegranate seeds for decoration. And they are very, very yummy.
Yeah, pomegranate is very ever present in Georgia. You see it used a lot in salads and as juice as well. People making pomegranate juice.
Yes.
Delicious. They're here. They're very expensive. So a pomegranate is not. You don't make a whole glass of pomegranate juice. It'd be your food budget for the week. But yeah, they're in Georgia. You see them everywhere.
And actually, we have our pomegranates, but mostly they are imported from Azerbaijan.
Yeah,
from Turkey.
they're so good. They're so red and
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, can I close now my? Can I stop my presentation? Is that okay? And I'm back.
We had one question that came in the chat.
Yes.
Please repeat years of winemaking history. I think you mean the 8,000 year history of winemaking. Yeah.
Yes.
And also the percentage alcohol in Mtsvan.
Mtswane.
Yeah.
Well, I will start with percentage. I asked Georgi particularly about this wine, which I'm having here, and he answered me, he presumes it is 13 because wine is still in the laboratory and he will get the exact answer tomorrow. But he guesses it is 13, but I guess it's more.
Okay.
I think it's maybe, no, if 15, then it would be sweet. It is not sweet. It has a very distinct citrus smell and quince. I don't know if quince is known. Quince?
Yeah, quince. I think most people know what quince is.
Yes,
it's the one that looks like a pear, but you have to cook it to eat it. It's very astringent raw.
Yes.
And it's very fragrant.
And also very slight tones of honey. I don't know what is. But if we look at color, it is dark amber color. And if the same grapes would be used for classical wine, it would have very light yellow color and greenish actually.
Yeah,
that's why it's very.
Okay. And of course, red wines are produced in Georgia as well. There's quite a lot of red wine that's
a lot of red wine. Yes.
Yeah.
But Georgians prefer dry wines. They are produced semi-sweet wines, sweet wines, but Georgians prefer dry wines.
From what I understand, the sweet wines are produced mainly for the Russian market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if we start to talk about this history now, we need to go back in the history of Georgia and during Soviet times and how Soviets were redesigning and reconstructing country according to their vision. How it should be. And well, yes, Russians prefer sweet wines or semi-sweet wines. That's why during Soviet times, the technology was changed, and there is a sweet wine Alazani, which is originally red wine, but they also made white wine because it was very big demand on sweet wine in Russia, and like we have now two sweet wines Alazani, red and white, which is not like it was just invented for Russian market.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been talking about Georgis wine, Swane, 13% alcohol contain. Last year harvest in September, 3 months on skin and seeds. Still is sitting in qvevris in his marani, and he bottles when he has demand. Like he gifted me this bottle, and I'm very proud.
Yeah, you're very lucky to have that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Natalia, can you talk a little bit more about the spices? Because you mentioned two spices that people are not very familiar with. So the
Yes.
blue fenugreek, of course, and the marigold powder. But also there are many other spices that that we can.
You know, Rosa, that all my life I knew this blue fenugreek, utschosuneli, and in Georgian we call it foreign spice. It even does not have the like own name, original name. We call it foreign spice, and I knew this only as spice, like ground. I have not seen the plant itself. And last year, when we've been in mountains in our house, you remember I sent you the picture?
Yeah, you did. There's a flower.
We've been working in our garden, and I saw in neighbor's garden some strange flowers which I have never seen before. So, and I asked this woman, she's actually over 80 years old, very fit, very vivid, works in garden from morning until very late evening, always healthy, having teas for wine still. And then he picks this one plant and shows me, and she says, this is blue fenugreek. And it was the first time I saw it as like plant alive. And it's very interesting. It has very small seeds, and it is original for Caucasian region, for Caucasian mountain. In other words, for our region. So I read them, and
And what would you say blue fenugreek does for a dish when you add it?
it strengthens taste of walnut very much. Even if you mix it with flour, for example, it will give the taste of walnut.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's really
it is.
interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it is what blue fenugreek does,
Hmm.
very specially. Even you don't use any walnut, but you add blue fenugreek.
It will still give a
Yeah,
taste of walnut.
it will give taste of walnut.
Yeah, to me, some of the spice mixes that you find in Georgia, they have a slight kind of curry-like quality, maybe because of the mixed spices, but it can remind me a little bit of Indian food, but not quite, you know, still different. But the spaghetti salt in particular, you could talk about.
Yes, Svaneti salt is also mixed from how many ingredients I will tell you now. Again, blue fenugreek, but not a lot. Coriander, saffron or marigold, garlic, crushed garlic, and also wild dill, but dry. Salt, of course, and sometimes they add chili powder or ground chili. It depends on. This is Swanyan salt.
Yeah.
Like the Lithuanians choose the short way to to make food. Like they already have ready this salt and spice mix, and they put everywhere. And
yeah, you can pretty much use that on anything. I've tested on many things.
What is also remarkable on Georgian cuisine in common like dishes, commonly they use lots of coriander, fresh coriander or dry coriander. And sometimes for Western taste is a bit awkward to have so much coriander. For example, my husband, you know, he refuses to eat coriander at all. And the first word he learned is no kinzi.
For some people, coriander tastes like soap. I think it's a percentage of the population, but I don't know if for anyone in Georgia it tastes like soap.
I don't know. Yes, for Yuan, it is kind of it has smell like from sorry, my stink bug. He says it is stink bug.
Wow!
And he does not. But what is ridiculous when we are in restaurants, for example, and he says we order salad but without coriander, please. And we order, for example, ostri, the dish with meat and the stew, so to say. They would bring a salad without coriander, but ostri with coriander. Like you have to say particularly that
Each
no,
dish.
yes, no coriander at all. So coriander, dry coriander, fresh coriander, like it's very common. If it is not really very high fancy restaurants, which we know, they don't use so much coriander. So the main three main spices in Georgia are blue fenugreek, foreign spice. Sometimes you will see the writing foreign spice, coriander, and marigold.
So marigold, can you talk about that a little bit? Because people haven't seen that either here. So it's
We call it
basically,
in Georgian. We call it zaprana.
yeah, so it's
And
like
it is
a saffron, but it's not saffron.
no, it's not saffron, of course, because saffron is imported from Iran, for
Yeah,
example. You can see this on market, and it costs three times as much
yeah,
as
of course.
our
Yeah.
marigold cost. But like I remember from my childhood that in my Oma's garden, this Georgian saffron was growing. Like we had a little spot with, and then they would pick. It has orange flowers, a bit similar to calendula, but like they are bigger. They are having these heads. And then my grandma would put them on a string and let them dry, and then just make powder out of it.
And what taste does that bring? Can you describe the taste of marigold powder or
It
the
is
taste it
for me.
brings to
It's
food?
very neutral taste. It is used more for color, I think,
Okay. Yeah.
because it gives nice yellow goldish
Yeah.
color to sauces and
Yes, it
to
does.
walnut dishes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are family. We have very large choice on spices because Johan orders from South Africa, from India, from Dubai, from every,
Okay.
and yeah, we have kind of Thai spices,
Yeah.
Indian spices, South African, Portuguese, all kind of spices, and so I use Georgian spices only when I cook some Georgian stew.
Well, yeah, there's already a huge selection. Can you talk about the chili pastes and the chili sauces as well, the ajika?
Ajika.
Yeah.
Yeah, ajika is the same mix from spices, salt, garlic, and chilies, but sometimes concentrated tomato paste is added to that. And it can be, sometimes it is like dry mix, which you take and dissolve with lukewarm water, and you get such thick sauce. And sometimes it is like liquid, like a bit thicker than tomato juice with also spices inside. Last year, Johan made a huge garden of tomatoes. I could not see these tomatoes anymore because every day he was bringing 2-3 buckets of tomatoes. And I have to like sort them, like cut, wash, and we've been cooking these tomatoes, and we had quite a lot of tomato, our own tomato juice produced. Like it was not ajika because we did not put really these Georgian spices in because of coriander, and so he made like his own tomato ajikas, and I made a little bit with Georgian taste. So,
Oh, okay. And
yes.
also if you could talk about the plum sauce as well. The
Yes.
sour plum.
Let me finish about ajika. We have the region San Megrelo where people eat very spicy food. They add lots of chilies, and Megrelian ajika is the most famous. And ajika is not always. Also, I have seen somewhere in US they sell Georgian ajika in spices. Like maybe someone will find this in grocery market or somewhere. Ajika is Georgian sauce with spices. It can be red or it can be green. Green ajika is made without tomatoes, only from green chilies and peppers. Red ajika has tomatoes in. Kremali. Tremali is plum sauce, so I don't know. Tremali are wild plums, so to say, wild prunes. They start to we start to pick them from early spring when they are still green and hard, very hard. Some people loved it. They eat this. It's very sour. It blocks your uh, mouse totally. And we cook it, and then we take this juice and this flesh out, and we mix it with fresh herbs, fresh herbs like, again, coriander, dill, mint sometimes. And I don't remember the English name of this ombalo spice, which is very special for Imereti region. Maybe you remember? It is kind of like, it is similar to mint, but wild mint, like
Oh,
ombalo.
okay.
You
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah. But I think, yeah, we would just call it wild mint.
Yes. Remali can be green, yellow, red, dark green, so very different. And also, couple of years ago, people started to produce remali from
Ah,
kiwi fruits. Yes, because we have lots of kiwi fruits in West Georgia, in Samegrelo region, and it's actually very nice. I like it.
mm,
But again, for Western taste, it might be very strange. It's very
mm,
sour, salty,
mm.
garlicky. It has lots of garlic.
Yeah.
But for my father, for example, it is a drink. Like, he drinks
Yeah,
this
you said
sauce.
that. And he drinks it by itself, or does he dilute it?
Yes, and it's normal. Jan refuses. Like,
I bet yeah, I bet it's really good for your health. It's fermented and
I don't know, but like, Georgians are used to that. It doesn't matter for them. Yes. So I like a bit sweetish tremali. When my mom cooks, and like, I add a bit sugar in it, and then I eat like this.
Mm.
You remember tremalis?
Oh yes, you sent me home with several bottles. Yeah, I had to sneak through
Okay.
customs when I got back to Denise. But
Yes.
usually you can't leave Georgia without a few sort of plastic bottles of unidentified sauces and many plastic bags of spices as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, you have to leave room in your suitcase if you're coming to Georgia for a lot of ingredients to bring
Mhm.
back.
So, was that enough information about
Yeah,
spices, you
yeah.
think?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Does anyone have any other questions about Georgian food?
Yeah.
So before because we're coming up to the end of our time, but Natalia, can you tell people, I think for a lot of people, Georgia's rather abstract and they can't quite imagine what it's like when you arrive into Tbilisi. What does the city look like? What are the landscapes like? Can you just describe a little bit what you see when you come to Georgia and what the people are like, just the visitor's experience?
Okay, it's very different. Tbilisi and Georgia itself is very controversial. Although we are a small country, you experience any kind of visual differences, and any kind of persons. Like, there are people who will talk you fluently English, for example, young people who are very familiar with foreign people, and there are people who start to talk to you Russian, because this is only one foreign language for them. So let me think now. If I come to Georgia as visitor first time, okay, I see the airport, which now is modern and
Yeah, I
well
remember
maintained.
one of the things that I read before I came to Georgia for the first time was they're all crazy drivers. It's going to be terrifying. And so that was the impression I had, but it wasn't true. It wasn't that bad. I find the roads didn't scare me.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad. Okay.
Your driving was excellent, Natalia.
Then, the city itself is also very controversial because Tbilisi is very old city. It begin from 5th century or earlier. 5th century is the events which we know according to books, but for sure earlier they've been living also some tribes. That's why we have very old parts of Tbilisi. I'm living in old city, so to say, which is a small part of the city, and there are like new modern parts of Tbilisi and also Soviet style parts of Tbilisi. The most visited places are, of course, the old city part, famous for its hot water springs, sulfur
Yeah,
water bath,
why is
like
Tbilisi
hammams.
called, can you explain
Yeah,
the
according
name
to
of
legend,
Tbilisi?
Tbilisi is called Tbilisi because of this warm water spring, because Tbili in Georgian language, in Kartuli language, is warm and warm place, Tbilisi. But there is another version which sounds more logical to me, that they have been on this place, been living people who've been called Tobalians. And Tobalians were pre-Kartvelian tribes, Tobalis. And from their name is derived the name of the city Tbilisi. Well, you can choose whatever version you want to believe in. And Tbilisi is really warm city. Um, Georgians are very artistic people,
Mhm.
especially when they meet some foreigners. You know, they are very emotional, very open, and very artistic. They really show emotions and they really want to share with you. And they also asking about feedback. How do you like our country? What have
Yeah.
you experienced already?
Mm.
What is special for you here? So what can be also interesting. In the center of Tbilisi, we have the exhibition under open air where the artists are standing and selling their artworks, paintings, or some other artworks. Georgians are people who are born without sense of time. Like they don't bother about time and looking at watch at all. Like morning for them is 11, 12 o'clock. It is morning. They don't eat real breakfast. There is no such thing like breakfast. They can grab a piece of bread and a glass of khimali and drink. And this is the breakfast. This is
Although
why,
having
yes.
said that, when we've been in hotels, the breakfasts have been really often quite substantial, like a lot of different dishes, savory, sweet, but maybe that's just hotels. But
This is these hotels where our group stayed, but
yeah,
in say medium class hotels we really struggle with
yeah,
breakfast, because what me and Johan we understand under breakfast, it is not the same what they serve there.
yeah,
And breakfast is really pain for me here in Georgia, because like these people does not have the understanding of breakfast. So, for example, us, we're having breakfast at 8 a.m. and 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. Like, we have lunch already. And for Georgians, this is like breakfast time. And also they, of course, they go late in the bed. Like evenings are very long.
yeah,
Like they can call you at 10 o'clock in the night, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. to talk some business stuff. And so, and you know that I am a morning person and we get up very early at 5
yeah,
a.m. And when I say that to Georgians, it is kind of shock for them. They don't
yeah.
understand what's wrong with this person. Why is she getting up at 5?
I can imagine.
Yes, you can imagine.
Yeah,
Even very close to me people, like family members, my mom, my brother, like our close people, they don't understand what
mm,
you have to do when you get up so early.
mm.
For Georgians, it is like their brain cannot take that. So evenings are long. They call you very, like, also online. They start to chat at 10 o'clock in the night. And when I answer, like, for me, it's too late now to talk such issues, you know. There is very big pause after that.
That's funny.
So, yes. Yeah, what is to know about Georgia? That not everyone speaks English. And if you are without guide, it might be quite difficult sometimes
Yeah, because
to
people are very,
communicate.
they're very open, but they can be shy, if they don't speak much English.
Yeah,
It's
what can they do? Like,
difficult. So, yeah,
there is no communication. You cannot let
yeah.
them understand what you need and what not. So not everyone speaks English. What else? Uh, maybe a
Well, yeah,
couple of Georgian words is good
yeah,
to know, like
yeah.
gamarjoba and madloba. Madloba is easy word. It is thank you, and like they are very happy to hear that madloba or didi madloba. Uh, mm,
Mhm. Yeah.
so
Well,
help
here
me.
here in Nice, the church bells are ringing, which means that our hour is finished. So
Hmm.
I'm just going to stop our recording, and I'm going to stop. Hold on.